The husband's family laughed at the black woman when she arrived at the Harrington's gala dinner. What they didn't know was that, in less than an hour, the woman they mocked would completely destroy the 40-year empire they were so proud of. "Natasha, dear, did you bring your own food? You know how it is. I thought our menu might be too sophisticated for your taste," said Patricia Harrington, matriarch of the family, as she held her wine glass like a scepter. The room erupted in laughter. Uncles, cousins, business partners, everyone joined in the spectacle. Natasha Taylor was 32 years old and never imagined that her 3-year marriage to David Harrington would put her in that position again. Sitting at the dining table of the family mansion, surrounded by inherited crystal and silverware, she was the favorite target of entertainment for the evening. "Mom, please," David murmured, but his voice was so weak it barely crossed the table. He didn't look up from his plate. "David, don't be ridiculous. We're just joking," his sister Victoria interjected, adjusting her perfectly brushed blonde hair. "Natasha knows it's all in good fun. Isn't that right, Nat?" The nickname came out like a slap. Natasha took a sip of water, her fingers steady on the crystal glass. She didn't flinch. She didn't look away. She just watched each face around that table as if memorizing important details. "Of course, Victoria. Good fun," she replied with a calmness that made some guests exchange confused glances. 2 months ago, during Patricia's birthday, the scene had been similar. "Natasha, you must feel so lucky to be part of this family," her mother-in-law had said in front of 50 guests. "I imagine that where you grew up, this kind of opportunity was unlikely." Laughter echoed through the room as David pretended to check his cell phone. 6 months before that, at Christmas, David's father, Richard Harrington, had made a point of asking, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Natasha, does your family celebrate Christmas, or do you have other traditions?" The tone made it clear that other meant inferior. Every comment, every laugh, every pitying glance from household staff, Natasha had stored it all away. Not with anger, not with despair, but with the precision of someone collecting evidence. "Well, everyone, let's make a toast," Richard announced, rising from the head of the table. His impeccable Italian suit matched the air of someone who had never had to fight for anything. "Tonight, we celebrate another exceptional quarter for Harrington Industries. Record profits, international expansion, and billions in investments securing our future," Patricia added, beaming. "Exactly, dear. We are stronger than ever," Richard continued, his chest puffed out, "with our biggest investors trusting our vision." "Speaking of investors," interrupted Thomas, David's cousin and the company's CFO, "Richard, that fund that came in last year with that massive investment, what was it called again? Arcadia Capital? Did they renew their contract?" Natasha felt Thomas's eyes pass over her as if she were part of the furniture. "They renewed and increased their stake," Richard replied with a victorious smile. $1,200,000,000 now. Arcadia Capital is our largest individual investor. Without them, well, but fortunately, smart people recognize a good opportunity." "Smart people," Patricia repeated, glancing meaningfully at Natasha. "Isn't that right, Nat?" More laughter. Victoria was posting photos of the table on Instagram, no doubt with some caption about family tradition and excellence. Natasha placed her napkin on her plate, the movement so delicate it was almost unnoticeable. Almost. David finally looked at her and something in her face made him freeze. It wasn't anger, it wasn't hurt, it was the expression of someone who had just made an irreversible decision. "Natasha, aren't you going to have dessert?" Patricia asked with feigned concern. "It's imported from France. It may be different from what you're used to, but I promise you it's delicious." "Thank you, Patricia, but I think I've had enough for tonight," Natasha replied, and there was something in her tone of voice that made her mother-in-law's smile falter for a split second. "What a pity. David, your wife doesn't appreciate the good things we offer," Patricia sighed theatrically. Natasha's cell phone was in her purse next to her chair. She didn't need to pick it up yet. She didn't need to check the emails she knew were coming. Everything was already in motion, set in motion 3 hours ago when she was getting ready at home and sent that 3-word message to her lawyer. Execute the plan. Richard raised his glass again. The Harrington family has always known how to choose the best partners, the best investments, the best. The best? Natasha asked softly, but the silence that followed was deafening. Well, that's obvious, Richard stammered, confused by the interruption. Obvious, Natasha repeated, and this time even David gulped. Victoria rolled her eyes. Here comes the drama. Natasha, no one is attacking you. We're family. You're too sensitive. Sensitive? Natasha murmured, almost to herself. Her fingers lightly touched the strap of her purse. Thomas, impatient, returned to business. Uncle Richard, about next week's meeting with investors, has Arcadia Capital confirmed their attendance? It would be nice to finally meet the people behind that fund. 3 years of investing with us and they've never shown up in person? Arcadia prefers discretion, Richard explained. Great fortunes value privacy. Something that, well, he glanced briefly at Natasha, some people don't understand. The room laughed again, that familiar sound of people who never had to question their place in the world. Natasha picked up her purse with a calmness that contrasted with the growing agitation in the room. She didn't get up. She didn't run out. She just sat there, watching each face, every smug smile, every look of superiority. 3 years, she said softly, but everyone heard. 3 years of dinners like this. And many more to come, dear, Patricia toasted, completely oblivious. After all, you're lucky to have joined this family. Natasha smiled. It was a small, almost imperceptible smile, but David recognized it. It was the same smile she had when she closed deals on her laptop late at night, when he thought she was asleep. The same smile that appeared when she read financial reports he never bothered to ask about. Lucky, Natasha repeated, savoring the word. It's an interesting perspective. Her fingers brushed against her phone inside her purse. The message should have arrived by now. The documents should already being processed. The shares should already being transferred. But she would wait. Just a few more minutes. She would let them finish their dessert, continue laughing, feel safe in their perfect little world. Because the fall would be so much more satisfying. If you're enjoying this story of revenge and justice, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. What Natasha is about to do will completely redefine the concept of a twist, and you won't want to miss a single detail of what happens when people who have been underestimated their entire lives finally decide to show who they really are. Dessert was being served when Victoria decided that the evening needed more entertainment. She picked up her phone and began reading, aloud, her sweet voice masking the venom of the words. Guys, have you seen this? There's a profile here on Instagram called Elite Trophy Wives that posted a list of the 10 women who most obviously married for money. She feigned surprise. Oh, Natasha is in 3rd place. What a coincidence. The table erupted in laughter. Patricia clapped her hands delighted. Let me see that. Victoria, pass me your phone. Natasha continued drinking her water, but her fingers gripped the glass tightly enough to turn her knuckles white. 3 years of marriage, 1,095 days of comments like this. She had counted each one in her head. Natasha, dear, aren't you going to defend yourself? Teased Jennifer, David's cousin, adjusting her diamond earrings. Or maybe they're right. David cleared his throat, finally finding the courage to speak. Guys, this is really, really funny, Richard interrupted, laughing. Relax, David. Your wife knows we're joking. Right, Natasha? What none of them knew was that 6 months ago, during one of these jokes, Natasha had left that same dining room, locked herself in the guest bathroom, and cried until she had no more tears left. She looked in the mirror that day, saw the reflection of a broken woman, and made a decision that would change everything. The next morning, she had made 3 calls. The first to a discreet corporate lawyer, the second to a forensic accountant, the third to someone from her past that the Harrington family never imagined existed. Natasha, Patricia's voice cut through her memories, I'm talking to you. I thought you could at least try to defend yourself against these online accusations. Accusations, Natasha repeated slowly, setting down her glass. It's interesting that you use that word, Patricia. Something in her tone made her mother-in-law's smile falter for a split second. It's just an expression, dear. Of course it is. Natasha stood up, smoothing the simple dress they had all mocked so much. Excuse me, I need to use the bathroom. As she walked down the mansion's marble hallway, she passed framed photos of the Harrington family through the generations. White faces, privileged, confident of their place in the world. They never had to fight for anything. They were never judged by the color of their skin before they even opened their mouths. In the bathroom, she locked the door and finally picked up her phone. 17 unread messages, all from the same number, her lawyer. Confirmed. Transfers processed at 7:47 p.m. Legal documentation sent via encrypted email. Press alerted at 8:15 p.m., awaiting your signal for phase 2. Natasha looked in the mirror. The same woman who had cried there 6 months ago was now smiling. It wasn't a smile of happiness. It was a smile of someone who had just moved the last piece on the chessboard. She typed a quick reply. Execute phase 2 in 10 minutes. I want to be sitting at the table when it happens. When she returned to the dining room, the atmosphere had escalated. Thomas was standing, giving a speech about a new acquisition by Harrington Industries, while everyone raised their glasses in celebration. $300 million in government contracts